Good evening, everyone. I'm sure that a few of you might have been wondering, what's this conversation about? And I think most people, when they see us go live, we're usually talking about love and marriage. So this is of an unusual conversation for us both, at least, right? And I'm so excited about this evening, and I'm especially excited that you asked that I go live with you on this subject. And so today we're talking, the subject is uncover. And the reason why I'm absolutely thrilled about this conversation today is because I know that you are uniquely positioned to speak to the heart of this topic for a few reasons. I think the first reason is because you have lived experiences. And I think your lived experiences will bring a certain depth and authenticity to the discussion. I've had front row seats in your life, so I know that you've walked the path of personal transformation, navigating the challenges of overcoming procrastination, and generally just unlocking your potential more so in the last 5 years. So I know that this isn't just theory for you, it's a journey that you've traveled. So that's the first reason why I'm excited. The second reason why I'm excited is because your professional expertise as a life and executive coach will bring a wealth of practical tools to this conversation. I know that you've worked with individuals more so in the last 3 years in uncovering their potential as well, right? And it's that sweet spot of having your personal wisdom and professional guidance. And I think that that's something that I'm particularly looking forward to in the conversation this evening. And finally, I think that you generally have a gift that you help people bridge the gap between aspiration and action. That's something that I've enjoyed in our relationship. I didn't know how to phrase that, but yeah, that's something that I particularly enjoyed, helping bridge the gap between aspiration and action. And I think that that's something that a lot of people need. How do they transform those dreams into reality? How do they move from point A to point B? And that's what I'm really hoping to get out of this conversation. The question that was then coming to my head as a follow-on question is that, so there's somebody on this call that is at the point where you were a few years ago, right? How do they then move? How do they move from that point where they were to a point where they feel productive, point where they feel that they have contributions to make, the point where they're no longer second guessing or questioning their value or their worth?
You know, there's that part where it is crucial to even say, this is where I am, this is what I would prefer, right? I think at the time, one of the crucial things I had to do for myself was decide what I would rather, and that led me to then, would I say, introspection, led me to studying myself, led me to questioning, right? What would I rather? And so if a person gets to the point where they feel stuck, like I'm in the place where I really don't know what to do next, I really don't know what I'm even doing, I don't know that I have a hand, because some people might not even be in the place where they don't know what to do next. They are probably in the place where they are frustrated with what they are doing at the moment, right? So you're doing the same thing, expecting that life will get better, but it just seems like things are getting worse, right? So it's possible that the person is in a grind that isn't productive, or a grind that doesn't seem to be making them go through any progress, right? So they can't particularly say this is getting any better, or they don't even see a future, of bliss or ease for themselves, right? And so if a person is in that moment, what you want to do is clarify, why you are there in the first place. What am I lacking that makes me, get to this point, or that's placed me in this point? And what would I rather if I wanted something else? If anything was possible, what would I rather? Right? The journey is then closing the gap between that you've discovered about where you are, why you're there, and where you desire that you can get to, and what takes you there, right? I believe that people typically become something that they have grown themselves to be. So you're more easily attracting value based on who you are, right? The perception of you by others is what determines the journey that you take in your life. The experiences that begin to unravel are based on how people perceive you, and how people perceive you can be generated by what you've done with yourself. And so that generation part is the part that many people need to come to, right? That was where I got to. I told myself, what would you want people to perceive you as? What kind of solutions would you want to deliver? What skill sets do you primarily have that if you own them, You could create something of yourself that delivers solutions that people perceive as value. And in the visibility of that value, you create a level of attraction or attention, that you will be grateful for. So literally, that was what happened, right? It's that notice where you rather be, notice where you are, and close the gap.
As you were speaking, you said something. You said that the life we want responds to who we are, not just what we do. So
Yeah.
how can someone begin to align their identity with the life that they desire? So you said the life that we want responds not just to who we are,
Yeah.
not just to what we do rather, but who we are. So how can
Yeah.
someone who is in that in between space, how can they start to align their identity to their desired outcomes?
Right. There's the consciousness, right, of who you are. I can tell my skill set, I can tell my values, I can tell my abilities, I can tell my inabilities, right? Except denial. And I think that many times it is easy to stay in denial, to act like I am more than what I think I am. There's this theory, the Dunning-Kruger effect, where a person might exaggerate who they are, right, and so perform based on that. I mean, in my idea, there are the benefits of that, where just because I can fake something because I assume that I am capable, I might achieve things that I wasn't typically capable of, right? Just because of that assumption that I was capable. There's the benefit of that, but there's the downside to that, where in exaggerating who you are, you then come to face with the result of your incompetence. Sometimes it might be very disappointing, especially in the face of other people. And so you just find out that you're incompetent when you tried something you thought you could try. So for me, when a person finds that place where they say, look, where am I in life at the moment now? What am I capable of? I feel like there's the crucial need to begin to check a couple of things. Now, for every expression, there's the submerged need to check identity. For example, like what are my identities, what are my values, what are my skill sets, and what environment am I found in? Right now, there are those critical things that determine a person's, outcomes, right? That identity part, who I think I am, how I see myself, what I think of myself, what I think I'm capable of, what I think I'm not capable of, my values, the things that I'm convicted about life, the way I see the world, right? The things that guide the way I take action, the way I do the things I do, my skill sets, the things that I'm competent in. Now, whether we like it or not, our degree of confidence is determined by our level of competence in different areas. The ability to speak gives you the confidence to speak. The inability to speak is what disallows you from having confidence in speaking. And that goes for any other thing, right? Now, I want to be mindful about my skill set. I want to be mindful about the degree to which I'm competent in the things I say I can do or would like to do. All right. And then finally, I want to be mindful of the environment I plant myself. So that's inclusive of the network, the people that I associate with, the people I don't associate with, and the possibilities that can occur from there. So identity, how I see myself, where I draw my own source from, how I even define myself and what's creating that for me. And then, values, the way I view the world, the things I prioritize about life, about people, about myself, skill sets, my competencies, and then environment where I plant myself. Now, if a person wants to create a life that is meaningful for them, pay attention to those things, right? The moment you do, to a large degree, you have created a foundation for new expressions, right? Literally, that's the way it works. So for me, I defined those things. How was I seeing myself prior to the time when I realized I was stuck? How was I seeing myself the time when I realized I was stuck, right? Now, for the next thing was then what are the values I hold there? What are the things that if I want to move my life in the next or new direction, what are the things that are priority to me? What are the things that are important to me? Right? It was meaningful to me when I started to discover these things that other people discovered it. Right? Because one of the things that has really put me off from long before today was seeing people going to conferences again and again. And if you held the next conference next year that was still the same theme as the last conference last year, the same people would attend. And so in my mind, what was the challenge? There's definitely a gap between knowledge and transformation. And for
Mm,
me, it was being able to bridge that gap. So it was easy in terms of value that the person learns and learns easy, right? And I understand how people know without a teacher. So it was critical that there was someone that actually could teach these things in such a way that people got it. So for me, that was a driver, right? But if I was going to then toe that line, what skill sets do I need, right? And so that started to define the things I started committing myself to in
mm,
terms of learning, in terms of ability, in terms of capacity. And those are the things that will now build the confidence for expression.